Hello, I'm Kamichi, and welcome back to our Fortnite Save the World tutorial videos. So we're going to be talking about Scurvy Shoals Venture Zone once again, and this time we're talking about tips and tricks around the hero loadouts you might want to take in there. So with Ventures comes the lack of ability to craft weapons, so abilities are stronger and more reliable than ever, especially this season in the Pirate Zone. The enemies take less, well, they have more health basically, and then they bounce back from weapons more often and a lot easier. So it can become really difficult to, be able to land consistent headshots because the enemy's going to be bouncing all over the place, and it just becomes a lot easier to use, a teddy build or whatever, for example. So we're going to go over a few good hero loadouts. I'm not going to get too much into the specifics because I do have videos, and I'm going to be working on videos on those specific loadouts. So it's just going to be the general idea of the loadout, and I'll just explain some of the key, heroes to go in it and perks to use. But yeah, we will start with going commando. So this is a tried and true loadout to use for pretty much any mission, whether it be Twine, dungeons, it's great because of the monoliths, and Ventures is no exception to that. You can get your going commando cooldown to be 5 seconds if you have the cooldown perk decrease going commando cooldown by 60%, 66% even when she is your commander. So that's the perk, what's the perk name on that one? Going again. And then if you combine that with Happy Holidays, which reduces ability cooldowns by 40%, that then reduces it down so that once your going commando is done, you've only got 5 seconds to wait, as long as you've got the increased going commando duration by 5 seconds in there. So those are the two very important ones. Now, as I said, I'm not covering the exact build. I do have Diecast Jonesy. So that's Boomstick, which increases the damage of going commando and changes the damage to energy. I do recommend probably going for the cooldown build as the main hero. The only reason I have it like this is because we were in a mission that was giving soldier cooldowns increased anyway, so I wanted to swap it out to get more damage. And then other than that, honestly, just having those three, so the duration, the cooldown, and the damage, pretty much gives you a good build, and then you can just swap out any two other heroes that you want. So I put a healing one in, and then Plasma Arc's only there for the Boomstick. If you don't use Boomstick, then you can put some other sort of perk in there. That's the first build. Then obviously we've got Teddy. So Teddy is a very strong ability in this game, and there's so many perks revolving around it. It's up to you what build you want to go for. Again, I'm just covering these sort of general heroes you can have in it. So I like to use Cyberclops. I think it's the most, strong version of Teddy when you get to sort of the top levels of Ventures and Twine and stuff, where you get a lot more elementals. But, as you're working your way up, you're probably going to want to put the increased duration as the main hero, because that is an 8-second increase, and it means your cooldown, if you have Happy Holidays, is, I think, about -2 seconds. So you can actually place the next Teddy down before the first one finishes. That's how long it lasts. As long as you have the Happy Holidays and the Bear With Me going at the same time. And then Berserker just makes it do more damage. Overbearing gives it more range and more damage as well. More useful for defense ones, where you can put it like at the objective and it'll just do huge damage to enemies in spawn. If you're doing encampments, it's not really that useful because, well, she doesn't do range damage there unless you stand really far away from the objective, the encampments. But and then Warranty and Spores is a great combo for Teddies as well. But as I said, I won't be covering too much of the detail. But yeah, Teddy is a great build for this as well. For pretty much any of the missions. I mean, even if you're doing supply run, obviously you're going to have the Outlander ability to have the anti-material punch, and then you can just deal with any enemies if you need to. So Dragon Scorch is another one that I see a lot less people playing as, but he's very viable because you can get the cooldown on Dragon Slash pretty quick. You don't have to spec it out too much, so the cooldown's pretty quick anyway, and then he just increases the range and the width and the damage if he's your main hero. I really think he's the best one. Tail of the Dragon is what leaves like an energized trail behind it, damaging enemies, and then the rest, honestly, it's just up to you if you want to go for a sword build, or you could even put some, AR builds in here if you want to use those on top of it, or put some shuriken or throwing stars, type stuff in there. That's definitely up to you what you want to add to it, but yeah, ninjas is a good build to have dragon slash, I think. For soldiers as well, you can also do lefty and righty. I don't really have a strong build for that yet, I'm working on that, but yeah. Then the next one is Constructor, so I'm not going to go over this one. This is going Constructor that's used in that one. We'll focus on Mega Base Kyle. So the build you're probably going to want to use for Constructor, if you are using them in Ventures, is one that just does the classic Constructor job. So, you know, making it really difficult for the enemies to get in there. So it's up to you who you want to use as your main hero. Once again, I don't think Mega Base Kyle has to be your main hero. I just like it to cover more range. But if you get some, you know, increased building health, you get repair, you get enemies taking damage back if they hit the objective. They can also freeze or just be slowed when they're walking on it. They can take damage with electrified. We've got wisps now, so that's a lot of fun to add in there because Mega Base Kyle does have the plasma pulse. And yeah, the general idea is, you know, it's up to you what you want to use for team perk. At the moment, I've got traps do more damage, so if you want to actively make trap tunnels, this is a great way of doing that because you're going to be able to get a lot more bang for your buck. You don't need to place as many traps down. And just generally, if you get a good, strong... obviously, I know I said in the other video you don't need to make everything out of metal, but if you did make everything out of tier 3 metal, it is going to be very difficult for the enemies to get in there because you can have increased armor, increased health, it's going to be repairing itself, you know, all that good stuff. As long as you get the perk in there. I don't actually have the healing perk in here at the moment, but, you know, it'd be a good one to have in there. So yeah, that's your other option, and then I think that pretty much covers it. You know, you've got plenty of other stuff. We've got like a farming build, we've got the increased Teddy timer with a few different things swapped out. There's plenty you can go for, but those are the main ones that I think are very good to use when it comes to Ventures, especially this season where weapons are just a bit harder to use, to be honest. So, you know, you do get a lot more weapons, so it can be fun to use like a weapon build, but I think abilities are going to be a lot easier, in my opinion, in these ones. And then trap tunnels, obviously, are always powerful. So, yeah, hopefully you did find this video useful. If you have any other sort of loadout ideas that you think I didn't mention, please do let me know in the comments, and just let me know if you found the video useful as well. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will hopefully see you in a future video, maybe some venture quests or some normal save the world quests. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in a future one.